Welcome to the Deep Dive. We gather insights from various sources, books, research, you name it, and, well, we try to pull out the key ideas for you. Today, we're getting into something really common, but often feels incredibly isolating when you're going through it. It's that really uncomfortable, sometimes just plain weird feeling you get in early recovery, or frankly, during any major life change. You know the feeling, right? Maybe it's a Friday night. The old routines, the things that filled up your evenings, they're just gone. And there's this quiet, like a really profound quiet where there used to be maybe noise or excitement or even, let's be honest, chaos. You're just sitting there. And instead of all that drama, there's this silence that feels almost deafening. It's supposed to be peaceful, you think, but it feels unsettling, kind of empty, like something's fundamentally missing. Even if what's missing was actually hurting you, that quiet can still feel like a void.
Yeah, it's a strange vacuum, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
Or maybe you find yourself in a social situation and your usual crutches aren't there anymore. Could be a drink, could be some other habit, maybe even just a persona, the role you used to play.
Your social armor.
Exactly. And suddenly, without it, everything feels so clunky, awkward. You feel incredibly vulnerable, exposed, like every little interaction feels like you're walking a tightrope, hyper aware of everything you say and do.
The usual social lubricant is gone.
Right. And then there's the other side of it, the surprising boredom that can come with stability. You've managed to get away from the constant drama, the ups and downs, and what's left is calm. But somehow, against all expectations, that calm feels really unfulfilling, maybe even empty.
Yeah, you work so hard to get there, and then you arrive and think, is this it?
Precisely. You start wondering, did I want this? Am I doing recovery wrong? Why does this feel so incredibly weird?
Right.
So what we really want to stress right from the start is that these feelings, they are absolutely not a sign you're failing. Far from it.
Yeah.
They're actually natural, really complex, and honestly, a super important part of deep growth. And our mission today is to kind of pull back the curtain and explore why this happens.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating, I think, is that this unsettling feeling, this awkwardness you're describing, it's not just in your head. It's deeply wired into our psychology, our neurology. So our goal here in this deep dive is to unpack those layers. We'll draw on research from neuroscience, psychology, maybe even a bit of philosophy, to show you exactly why these feelings pop up. We're talking about the brain literally recalibrating itself.
A grand recalibration, you call it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole dance of identity, how it unravels and then has to be rewoven, how our inner world adjusts sometimes really clumsily to big external changes. Because by understanding the why behind it all, the actual mechanisms, we can start to normalize these feelings. We can let go of that harsh self-judgment and approach this awkward new normal with, well, curiosity maybe. Self-compassion, definitely.
Curiosity over judgment, I like.
Right. It's not just about toughing it out. It's about understanding this profound transformation that's happening. Challenging, yes, but ultimately really rewarding.
Okay, let's unpack that. Let's dive into the first big piece, the physical side, the neurological stuff behind the weirdness.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's not just in your head. Your brain and body are genuinely going through a massive overhaul, a recalibration, and that feels weird.
It really does. And a great place to start understanding this is with habit formation. James Clear's work in Atomic Habits is brilliant here. He breaks down how habits get formed and, more importantly, how they get so deeply embedded that breaking them feels like, well, tearing something out.
That four-step loop.
Exactly. The loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. First, there's the cue. Something triggers your brain, could be a time, a feeling, a place, even certain people.
Okay.
Then comes the craving, and this isn't just wanting the thing itself, it's the drive behind it, the desire for a change in state. You want relief or pleasure or distraction. Then the response, that's the actual habit you perform, the action or even a thought pattern.
Got it.
And finally, the reward. This does two key things. It satisfies that craving, gives you that relief or pleasure. Yeah. And crucially, it teaches your brain. It says, hey, this action, it worked. Remember this, do it again. Clear calls the brain a reward detector, constantly learning what pays off.
Okay, so how does that explain the weirdness when you stop?
Well, here's the thing. Over time, that loop becomes incredibly automatic. Like, brain activity actually decreases as a habit gets locked in.
Right.
It's super efficient. Your brain learns to just look for the cue and run the program.
Right, autopilot.
Exactly. So when you're in early recovery, you remove the old response and the old reward. You stop the substance, you stop the behavior. But the cue still happens, and the craving kicks in hard. No. Your brain is primed, expecting the usual sequence, but it gets cut short.
Ah, so it's like an error message in the system.
Precisely. It creates this huge internal dissonance, this short circuit. The brain's expecting a hit, preparing for the action, and then nothing.
That sounds really uncomfortable.
It is. That void, that unmet expectation, that prediction error causes real discomfort because your brain is scrambling, trying to figure out new ways to satisfy those deeply ingrained cravings.
It's like driving a familiar route home and suddenly the road's just gone.
Perfect analogy. Your mental map is useless. Your internal GPS is going haywire, trying to reroute. You're just stuck in this weird suspended state.
And the brain is literally building new roads, new pathways while you're driving.
In real time.
Yeah.
And that construction process is messy. It's clunky. It feels fundamentally uncomfortable.
Wow. Okay. So it's actual brain rewiring.
Absolutely. And building on that physical side, we have to bring in the work of Bessel van der Kolk from The Body Keeps the Score. This is crucial. He shows how trauma or even just highly stressful habitual experiences don't just live in our memories. They change our brain's threat detection system. They change how our bodies react.
So physical reactions get kind of programmed.
Exactly. Our gut feelings, our heart rate, our muscle tension, they become dictated by these past imprints, often without us even making the conscious connection. Van der Kolk puts it starkly. The trauma that started out there is now played out on the battlefield of their own bodies.
Wow.
And usually there's no conscious connection between what happened back then and what is going on right now inside.
So that's why you can feel anxious or agitated for seemingly no reason in recovery.
Precisely. That sudden surge of anxiety, the constant edgy feeling, maybe bursts of anger, big emotional swings. Even when you're sober, even when there's no obvious threat now, your body is reacting like the old danger or the old stress that the habit used to manage is still present.
It's like an echo chamber in your nervous system.
A very real physical echo. And he goes deeper, too. He talks about how intense emotional states, like those common in trauma or even just high stress, can actually shut down parts of the left brain hemisphere.
The logical side.
Yeah, the part responsible for organizing experience, for putting feelings into words, for creating a timeline, a coherent story.
So what happens when that goes offline?
Things feel fragmented, confusing, overwhelming. You might get hit with a wave of fear, then sadness, then irritation, maybe weird physical sensations.
But you can't make sense of it.
Exactly. You can't label it easily, can't figure out where it's coming from, can't fit it into a narrative. It's like having puzzle pieces scattered everywhere, but no picture on the box lid.
Which leads to just saying, I feel weird, because the words aren't there.
Precisely. The capacity to articulate it is literally impaired in that moment.
Yeah.
And there's another layer. Heart rate variability, HRV.
Okay, what's that?
It measures the variation in time between heartbeats. Basically, good HRV means your nervous system is flexible, adaptable. It can shift smoothly between stress response, fight or flight, and relaxation, rest and digest.
And in people with trauma or chronic stress?
Often HRV is low. Their systems are less flexible, more out of sync. They get stuck. Meaning they're highly vulnerable to overreacting to small stresses, things that wouldn't bother someone else. A traffic jam, a critical comment, even just a quiet evening can trigger a massive physical and emotional response.
So your internal alarm system is just hypersensitive.
Totally. It's blaring sirens for minor stuff. Your body's acting like it's in mortal danger, even when your conscious mind knows it isn't.
That disconnect must feel incredibly weird in itself.
Profoundly weird. That feeling of being jumpy, on edge, hypersensitive, it's not weakness. It's a measurable physiological state. Your internal hardware is still recalibrating.
Okay, that physiological picture is really powerful. It makes so much sense. And it connects perfectly to the psychological side, doesn't it? That internal chaos. I'm thinking of Carl Jung here from his collected works. He had that amazing description of the psyche.
The boiling cauldron.
Yes. The psyche is far from being a homogeneous unit. On the contrary, it is a boiling cauldron of contradictory impulses, inhibitions, and effects. That just nails the feeling.
It really does. Think about it. When we're caught up in old habits, especially addictive ones, we often maintain this illusion of a unified self, a stable personality.
Right. You think you know who you are.
But that unity might have been totally dependent on suppressing huge parts of ourselves. The habit, the substance, it was like a lid on that cauldron, keeping everything simmering down out of sight.
So when you take the lid off in recovery,
boom. Everything surges up. All those contradictory impulses, the fears you never faced, the anger you swallowed, the sadness you numbed affects weird memory fragments.
It's not just one feeling. It's like everything at once.
A kaleidoscope. Inner conflict between parts of you that you didn't even know were there. Maybe rage next to deep grief. Longing for the destructive past alongside a desperate hope for the future.
That sounds exhausting and definitely weird.
It is exhausting. It feels profoundly weird because your internal landscape, the one you thought was fixed, is suddenly shifting, revealing all this hidden stuff. It can show up as physical anxiety, restlessness, disturbing dreams, just a constant feeling of being agitated.
Because the old unity was maybe
Whoop.
false.
Exactly. Jung said that the unity of personality isn't a given reality, it's a desideratum, something we strive for, something we build.
Ah. So the cauldron boiling over isn't a sign you're broken.
No. It's a vital, if deeply uncomfortable part of discovering your actual multifaceted self, not the simplified, fixed persona you might have been hiding behind.
It's the real you trying to emerge, and that's messy.
Incredibly messy. It's the friction of the genuine, complex self starting to take shape as the false unity crumbles. That's the weirdness. It's the sound of becoming.
Wow. Okay, so brain rewiring, body echoes, psyche boiling over. It's a total system overhaul.
Absolutely. The brain and body are shedding old patterns, trying to run without core programs while installing new ones. The weirdness is the system rebuilding itself. It's visceral because it is the hardware and software of your being undergoing fundamental change.
Which naturally leads to the next massive question, the one that hangs in the air after all that shedding.
Who are you now?
Exactly. Who are you without those old anchors? And this is where it gets, I think, really deep, beyond the physical into the core of identity. Because recovery isn't just stopping something, it's this profound identity shift. And that often means grieving the old self, even the parts you hated, and then awkwardly, clumsily building a new one.
It's a huge piece of the puzzle.
And Ernest Becker's work, The Denial of Death, gives us such a powerful way to understand this identity struggle. He talks about the vital lie, this necessary and basic dishonesty about oneself.
Not malicious though, right? More like a defense mechanism.
Totally. It's a psychological shield we build to feel worthy, to feel like life has meaning, to feel in control in a world that often feels chaotic and scary.
Okay.
And Becker argues that our old habits, even the really destructive ones, can become a weird form of prison heroism or programmed cultural heroics.
What does he mean by that?
It means the habit, the addiction, the dysfunction it gives you, a role to play, a script. It offers a false but powerful sense of identity, predictability, maybe even belonging in a twisted way.
Like being the rebel or the troubled one or the life of the party.
Exactly. It's a role you know. It feels like being somebody, even if it's within this self-made prison. It provides a narrative, a weird sense of control, even significance.
Okay, I see. So the weirdness of recovery is hitting that lie head on.
Directly, brutally sometimes. Recovery demands, as Becker puts it, breaking his spirit out of its conditioned prison. And that's terrifyingly uncomfortable because the very defenses that he needs to move about with self-confidence become his lifelong trap.
Wow. So letting go of the habit is letting go of the defense mechanism that made you feel safe, even if it was ultimately trapping you.
Yes, you're not just shedding a behavior, you're dismantling a core piece of who you thought you were. The persona, the defenses you built to feel okay.
Like Tamra in Attached, clinging to that bad relationship because letting go felt like severing a part of herself.
Exactly like that. Letting go of the old self feels like cutting a fundamental tie to your self-definition. It's incredibly hard.
And Becker's point about narcissism, not vanity, but that need for self-importance feeds into this too, right? The ego doesn't want to give up its heroic role, however destructive.
Right. The ego fights for survival, even if it's survival in a cage. That struggle is the weirdness, the resistance to change.
This process of letting go, this identity death, it sounds profound. It connects to Jung's idea of rebirth, doesn't it? He talked about it in his collected works, not as literal, but as a purely psychic reality, an individuation process, something beyond the senses, but deeply real.
A metamorphosis of the self.
Yeah, not linear, a breaking down and a building up. And Jordan Peterson, in Maps of Meaning, frames this beautifully, using the hero's journey myth.
How so?
Recovery is that journey. You voluntarily step out of the known, the familiar, destructive territory of old habits and identities.
And into the unknown.
Exactly. Confronting life without the old anchors, the old self. And that unknown is both destructive and creative.
Destructive how? Creative how?
It destroys the old limited self. It dismantles the structures that gave you meaning before. But it also creates the potential, the space for something entirely new to grow.
And the discomfort is.
The collision with indeterminate meaning, situations where your old maps don't work, your old plans fail, your usual ways of coping, your adaptive competence are challenged at their core.
That sounds like the definition of weirdness. Nothing makes sense according to the old rules.
Precisely. And Peterson argues that real transformation coming out of the belly of the whale requires a spiritual death and subsequent rebirth. The absolute destruction of the old childhood personality, the dependent self, is needed to catalyze the emergence of an adult integrated self.
He uses that analogy of a child going to kindergarten, right?
Yeah, the 4-year-old can't use 3-year-old habits. The transition is clumsy, unfamiliar, bewildering.
So imagine going through that level of internal change as a conscious adult.
It's bound to feel awkward, disoriented, like learning to walk and talk all over again, deeply unsettling because your internal compass is just spinning wildly.
And Jung's point about the unconscious thinking in millennia, that helps normalize it.
Tremendously. What feels like your unique, bizarre struggle is actually, as Jung said, a very old story indeed. You're tapping into a timeless human pattern of evolution, of facing chaos to find a new order.
Knowing you're not the first, that it's part of a bigger human story, that's comforting somehow.
It really is. It provides connection and validation.
Okay, so we have the death of the old self, the chaos, the journey.
Right.
But it's not just about enduring it, right? It's also about actively building the new identity.
Absolutely. That's the crucial next step.
And this is where ideas like identity-based habits from Atomic Habits and Carol Dweck's work on mindset become so practical, so helpful.
They offer kind of roadmap through the weirdness.
James Clear points out that we often focus on outcomes. I want to be sober, I want to lose weight, which is fine, but
But he suggests focusing on identity is more powerful.
right. Build identity-based habits. Start by focusing on who you wish to become.
So recovery isn't just about not doing something.
It's about becoming a new type of person, making a conscious choice. I am the type of person who is resilient. I am someone who faces challenges. I prioritize my growth.
Because your old self-image can hold you back.
Hugely. Clear says progress requires unlearning. You have to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity.
That is the core work.
Yeah. It's not just stopping the old stuff. It's casting these little votes for your new identity with every small positive action you take, actively sculpting who you're becoming,
Right, sir.
which means shedding the old skin. Uncomfortable, yes, but necessary.
And this conscious effort to shape identity, especially when everything feels so weird and off-kilter, this is exactly where Carol Dweck's mindset is just indispensable. Her distinction between fixed and growth mindsets is key.
Remind us.
Fixed mindset. Your qualities, intelligence, flaws are set in stone, unchangeable. Growth mindset. Your basic qualities can be developed through effort, strategy, learning from others.
Okay. And how does that relate to the weirdness?
Well, if you have a fixed mindset, the weirdness, the discomfort, every awkward feeling, every slip-up feels like proof that you're fundamentally flawed, that you can't change.
See? I knew I couldn't do this.
Exactly. It fills your head with limiting thoughts, makes you feel fragile, isolated, and makes the whole thing seem impossible.
But a growth mindset.
A growth mindset lets you use and develop your minds fully. It makes you open to accurate information about your current abilities, even if it's unflattering.
Why? Because it's not a judgment.
Right. It's just data. Information for learning and growth. With a growth mindset, you see the weird feelings not as proof of failure, but as valuable feedback, information about your journey.
So you can be curious about them instead of judging yourself.
Precisely. Observe them. Wonder why they're happening. What can you learn? It shifts you from self-condemnation to exploration.
That continuous editing of beliefs and identity that Clear talks about.
It is the core work. It's how you move from just stopping an old pattern to truly becoming someone new, more integrated, more resilient.
Okay. So we've covered brain rewiring, body recalibration, identity shifts. It's a lot. It sounds intense, disorienting, maybe even scary.
It absolutely can be.
But the really good news here, amidst all this, is that there are practical ways to navigate it, strategies. And maybe the most powerful one is that shift in perspective we mentioned earlier.
Curiosity over judgment.
Yes. Cultivating curiosity instead of immediately judging yourself. That feels like a vital skill.
It really is. This is where we move from just understanding the why to figuring out the what to do, how to actively engage with the weirdness, not just be swamped by it.
So where do we start?
Bessel van der Kolk, again, gives us a crucial first step. Sensing, naming, and identifying what is going on inside is the first step to recovery.
Sounds simple, but maybe it's not.
It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary in practice. Instead of trying to suppress or instantly judge those feelings, the anxiety, the boredom, the urges, as signs you're messing up,
View them as.
data points, valuable information from your internal system. They're not threats to be eliminated, they're just messages from your body and brain.
Okay.
Van de Kolk really stresses observing these feelings, these unbidden images and feelings, as residues of a terrible past and not as unending threats to your life today.
That's a huge reframe.
Massive. It turns the discomfort from a clear and present danger into historical information. It lets you acknowledge, say, a sudden panic isn't predicting doom now, but maybe it's your nervous system reacting to an old trigger, an echo.
Not a sign something awful is about to happen right now.
Exactly. It's about accepting physical sensations for what they are, just sensations in the present with a beginning, a middle, and an end, without piling judgment on top.
Just noticing, maybe labeling, there's anxiety.
Without attaching a story of failure or future catastrophe, that creates space. Space to heal, space for new, healthier responses to actually emerge.
It's like moving from being in the storm to watching it from a safe window.
Perfectly put. You see it, you understand its nature, you know it will pass.
That's incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
Moving from reacting to observing. But observation alone isn't always enough, right?
Yeah.
Especially with that boredom, that emptiness. We need to find new ways to engage.
Absolutely. As the old, maybe destructive rewards fade, we need new sources of satisfaction. And this is where concepts like intrinsic motivation from Daniel Pink's Drive and flow from Csikszentmihalyi's work are so valuable.
Intrinsic motivation. The reward is the activity itself.
Exactly. Pink talks about studies, even with monkeys solving puzzles where they do it just because it was gratifying. Adding external rewards like raisins actually messed up their performance, made them less interested.
Huh. Okay, so the external reward can kill the internal joy.
It can. And this is crucial for recovery. The enjoyment in the doing is the real reward. Those old habits often gave fleeting, superficial pleasure that left you feeling worse later.
Right.
Recovery is about finding or rediscovering activities that give you that deep internal satisfaction, where the process itself is engaging. Could be learning something, making something, connecting with people, being in nature.
And flow is the state where that happens.
Yes, Csikszentmihalyi's concept of flow is that optimal state. Your attention is fully invested, skills match the challenge, you're completely absorbed.
Lose track of time, forget yourself.
Exactly. Total focus, effortless engagement. He found these are the times people report as the most enjoyable in their lives. And flow doesn't just feel good, it builds a more complex self.
Yeah.
It helps you grow.
Through differentiation and integration, he calls it.
Right. Becoming more unique and also connecting more deeply with things beyond yourself.
So the boredom of stability isn't a sign life is boring.
No, it's an invitation. An opportunity to consciously seek out and create these flow experiences, to find activities with clear goals, immediate feedback where challenge meets skill.
Learning guitar, cooking a complex meal, running, reading deeply, tackling a work project.
Anything where the activity itself becomes the reward, filling that potential void with genuine engagement, not just fleeting fixes.
And this shift doesn't have to be about huge, grand activities either, right? It can be in the everyday stuff too.
Absolutely. James Clear has that simple but really effective reframe in Atomic Habits.
The get to versus have to.
Exactly. Instead of thinking, I have to do this chore or I have to go to this meeting, try reframing it. I get to.
There, I get to wake up early, I get to cook dinner.
By changing that one word, you shift from obligation to opportunity, from burden to privilege. It turns mundane tasks into small, intentional acts of choosing your new life.
Little moments of self-authorship.
Beautifully put. And Csikszentmihalyi also talks about something related, microflow activities.
Microflow, like tiny flow moments.
Yeah. Small, often unnoticed routines that help maintain inner order, prevent irritability, tapping your fingers, doodling, humming, joking with someone.
Things you might not even think about.
Right. But they help focus attention, invest a little psychic energy, create mini moments of presence and control throughout the day. They're like tiny anchors against that feeling of inner chaos or entropy.
So even humming can help soothe the weirdness.
It can. These small things contribute to building that new internal stability piece by piece.
Okay, so observe with curiosity. Seek intrinsic rewards and flow. Reframe daily tasks. Find microflow. What about building the actual new habits, especially when it feels so awkward and hard?
This is where consistency over intensity is key. Small steps. Casting those big identity votes that James Clear talks about.
His 2-minute rule.
Yes, invaluable. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do.
Why so short?
It demolishes the barrier to entry. It makes it almost impossible to say no. 2 minutes of exercise instead of an hour. 1 sentence written instead of a chapter. 1 deep breath instead of 20 minutes meditating.
It seems too small to matter.
But the power isn't in the duration initially, it's in the consistency. It lets you consistently cast votes for your new identity.
You're becoming the type of person who does the thing.
Exactly, the type of person who doesn't miss workouts, even if it's just 2 minutes. Who writes every day, even if it's 1 sentence. Who reads even 1 page.
1 push-up is better than not exercising.
Precisely. It's about taking the smallest action that confirms who you want to be, solidifying that identity vote by vote.
And when you inevitably stumble or feel awkward doing it, the mindset matters there too.
Hugely. Back to Dweck's mindset. Shift your self-talk. Instead of judgment, I failed, I'm useless at this, praise the effort, analyze the strategy.
Be curious about the process, not just the outcome.
Yes. Ask, okay, what strategy did I try? How could I tweak it? Not, am I good or bad at this?
It shifts from a fixed judgment, I'm bad, to a growth process, I'm learning.
Exactly. It tells your brain, this is feedback, not failure. We're building something here.
Okay. So wrapping this up, this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway? If you're feeling that profound weirdness in recovery or any big transition.
The big takeaway is, it's normal. More than normal, it's expected. It's not a sign you're doing it wrong or regressing.
It's actually a sign of growth.
A clear, undeniable sign of deep, meaningful growth. Your brain is adapting, your psyche is evolving. This awkward phase, it's challenging, yes, but it is temporary.
It's the crucible where a stronger, more integrated identity gets forged.
The friction of transformation.
Yeah.
And remembering Peterson's hero's journey framing.
Confronting the unknown, restructuring yourself. It's ancient, not a personal failing.
Exactly. You're part of a timeless human story. And like Vanderkolk said, just understanding why you feel this way.
Feeling listened to and understood changes our physiology.
Right. Having feelings recognized lights up our limbic brain and creates an aha moment. Just understanding can bring immense relief and connection. You're not alone in the weirdness. You're evolving.
So what does this all really mean for you, the listener, navigating this?
It means you're not just passively getting through something. You're actively building a new internal system. You're challenging old ways of finding meaning. You're evolving your very self. The discomfort, the weirdness, it's just the friction of that growth. The grinding gears of a self in profound motion. It's the sound of you becoming stronger, more whole.
And a final thought to leave people with.
Okay, here's something to chew on. That lack of feeling, maybe, or the boredom that sometimes arises with stability when the chaos is gone. What if it's not a void to be feared or filled with frantic activity? What if, paradoxically, it's actually a blank canvas, an open space,
An invitation.
an unparalleled invitation to consciously create meaning and purpose, to build satisfaction from the inside out rather than just reacting to external drama or trying to escape internal noise.
So the quiet isn't empty, it's potential.
Exactly. The potential to build a life grounded in genuine enjoyment and deep engagement, chosen deliberately by you, not finding a new fix, but building a new foundation.
That's a powerful reframe.
And you know, this whole journey becoming more integrated, embracing the weirdness as a signpost, it leads us right to the next crucial step.
Which is?
Finding alignment with your deepest values, clarifying your personal mission, your purpose.
So that's where we're heading next time.
That's the plan. In our next deep dive, we'll explore how getting clear on your mission and purpose can transform that awkward new normal into a path of real, sustained fulfillment. We'll look at cultivating purpose, drawing on ideas from good business leadership, and the 5 psychological truths to find that internal compass you need for this new landscape.
Sounds fascinating. Looking forward to it.